God will fix everything. Hello, my lovely friends, brothers, and sisters. Today, I want to talk to you about a topic that affects the heart, stirs the soul, and brings calm to the disturbed mind. The message is simple, yet so profound. God will fix everything. No matter what you're going through right now, no matter how dark the valley, how high the mountain, or how terrible the storm, I want you to remember this. God is in control. He understands the beginning from the conclusion. He sees what you cannot see. He understands what you cannot understand. And He has the capacity to fix whatever is broken in your life. But let's be genuine. Sometimes life feels awful. Sometimes it feels like everything is coming apart, like we're trudging through a wasteland with no hope in sight. You can be suffering financial issues, family problems, illness, sadness, or doubt. You can feel entirely lost or abandoned. You might even question where God is in all of this. And here's the truth. God has not abandoned you. He's closer than you believe. God never promised us a life without trials or pain. But what He did guarantee is that He would never leave us nor forsake us. Deuteronomy 31 verse 6. He promised that in our weakness, He would be our strength. And He promised that He would work all things together for our good. Romans 8 verse 28. Let that settle in for a moment. Whatever is happening in your life, God will fix it. He is not only aware of your struggles, He has a plan to help you through them. He sees every tear you've wept, every restless night, and every prayer you've spoken. And He is working even when you cannot see it. Trust the process. I know that trusting God during terrible times can be hard. We want answers now. We want solutions now. But here's the thing. God's timing is perfect. He knows the right time for every breakthrough, every healing, every answered prayer. Our role is not to figure out when or how He will do it, but to believe that He will. You see, faith is not about seeing the path forward. It's about believing that God will make a way, even when there seems to be no way. Faith is about walking in the dark, knowing that God's light will guide you. It's about standing on His promises, even when the ground underneath you is shaking. Isaiah 40 verse 31 informs us, "But those who trust in the Lord will discover new strength. They will soar high on wings like eagles. They will run and not become fatigued. They will stroll and not faint." When you trust in God, He will give you strength. Strength to keep going when you want to quit up. Strength to trust when doubt is creeping in. Strength to cling on when everything in you wants to let go. God is your strength. He is your sanctuary, your shield, and your sturdy tower. And when you believe Him, you will rise up, stronger than before, more courageous than before, and more resilient than before. But let me be clear. Trusting God does not mean that everything will be simple. It does not mean that the storm will disappear instantly. Sometimes, God soothes the storm around us. But other times, God calms the tempest within us. He provides us peace in the center of turmoil, joy in the middle of suffering, and hope in the middle of despair. God's fix is better than your fix. You could be questioning, why is this happening to me? Why do I have to go through this? But here's a question to consider. What if the same thing you are going through right now is the thing that God is using to mold you, shape you, and strengthen you? What if the hardship is not designed to break you, but to build you? What if the valley is not a place of failure, but a place of preparation for your next victory? Sometimes, God doesn't fix problems the way we expect because He's doing something larger. His ways are higher than our ways, and His thoughts are higher than our thoughts. Isaiah 55 verse 9. You could be looking for a quick fix, but God is working on a permanent transformation. You might be begging for relief, but God is giving repair. You might want an escape, yet God is leading you into progress. Remember the story of Joseph? He was sold into slavery by his own siblings, wrongly charged, and thrown into prison. It seemed like everything was going wrong in his life, but even in the prison, God was with him. Even in the lowest times of his life, God was working behind the scenes, preparing Joseph for a higher destiny. In the end, Joseph became a monarch in Egypt and was able to save his family and an entire nation from hunger. God fixed everything for Joseph, but the fix didn't arrive overnight. It arrived through a process that required trust, patience, and persistence. And in the same way, God is fixing problems in your life, even when it doesn't seem like it. God's fix is always better than your fix. He doesn't merely fix the shattered pieces, He creates all things new. He doesn't merely patch up the cracks, He rebuilds from the ground up. So, trust Him in the process. Trust that His plan is larger than your sorrow, and His promise is greater than your difficulty. When you can't, God can. You could be feeling overwhelmed right now. You could feel like you can't take another step, can't face another day, or can't manage one more disappointment. But here's the beauty of it all. When you can't, God can. When you're at the end of your rope, God's strength is just beginning. When you've exhausted all your options, God's resources are unlimited. When you've run out of strength, God's strength is unlimited. And when you've hit rock bottom, God is the rock on which you can stand. 2 Corinthians 12 verse 9 reminds us that His grace is sufficient for us, and His power is made perfect in weakness. Your frailty is not an issue for God. In fact, it's an opportunity for Him to exhibit His power in your life. When you are weak, He is strong. When you are empty, He fills you full. And when you are broken, He makes you whole. God is not bound by your limitations. He is not hindered by your circumstances. He can make a path when there seems to be no way. He can open doors that no one can shut. He can move mountains that you believed were impossible to move. And He can fix what is unfixable. Let go and let God. One of the toughest things to accomplish is to let go. We want to control things. We want to mend things ourselves. We want to handle it all on our own. But here's the truth. You are not God. You were never supposed to carry the weight of the world on your shoulders. You were never designed to repair everything by yourself. God is saying to you today, let go and let me work. Let me take your troubles. Let me fight your battles. Let me fix what's broken in your life. Psalm 55 verse 22 states, cast your burden on the Lord, and He will sustain you. He will never permit the righteous to be moved. Whatever burden you're carrying right now, whatever weight is bearing down on you, give it to God. Release it into His hands, and believe that He will sustain you. Trust that He will fix it in His way, in His time. When you let go, you make place for God to step in. When you surrender, you make space for His power to flow. And when you stop trying to solve everything alone, you allow God to do what only He can do. God's fix is final. Here's the good news. When God fixes anything, it stays fixed. His fix is final. His solution is complete. His healing is total. He doesn't do anything halfway. When God fixes your heart, He gives you peace that beyond all understanding. When He fixes your thoughts, He gives you clarity and insight. When He fixes your body, He returns health and strength. When He heals your relationships, He brings love, forgiveness, and reconciliation. And the greatest fix of all, the salvation